The opening weekend of 3 consecutive weekends of Nike Cross Regional action as we began our race across America with the eventual finish line in Portland, Oregon, here in Boise, Idaho, Eagle Island State Park, as we prepare now for the boys championship race. Who will join Emily Wisniewski of Corvallis and the Raider Nation cross country team, the champion on the girls side? There will be a very first time champion here on the boys side momentarily. Forest Park and Stumptown on the girls side, the two that advanced automatically with bids to Nike Cross Nationals, and the team race expected on the boys' side to be even more of a battle.
Well, the North Idaho Distance Project seems to be a heavy favorite, at least on the boys' side. But the battle for second place is going to be up for grabs between 3 Oregon squads, and heck, and there's another Idaho squad in the Grizz Cross Country Club, and Elise Cranny almost fell down there. That could have been a catastrophe just to even start this race right here.
Yeah, we don't want the road to Paris to end in Boise, so Elise Cranny safely on and is one of the Nike athletes on site here. We'll have Nike athletes throughout the country joining us on the broadcast as well and interacting with the athletes, which is one of the treats. And you hear the athletes talking about it when they get races over, and they talk about what it will mean to be in Portland and that experience. It is also about rubbing shoulders with some of your heroes.
It truly is, and I'll say this about Elise Cranny. She's an athlete. You can say runners are not athletes, but she was an athlete right there and is able to withstand as we get things going here.
The gun's fired and we're racing in Boise, Idaho. The boys championship race at 5,000 meters for Nike Cross Regionals Northwest.
I'm more impressed with all the fans running now. I think they're going faster than the actual runners themselves, just trying to converge and go everywhere around the course.
I think some of those coveted flags on the opening chutes, that was the fans all racing to grab one for a souvenir.
Possibly, but I mean, I like to think my take was cool too as well, but I think yours was right as well.
So racing underway here in Idaho. We expect it to be quick and efficient through the 5,000 meters of racing. We'll race through all of the teams here. Again, it is also about being a member of a team and trying to advance your team to the championship final. And over the course of these next, 14, 15 minutes or so, it's going to be a battle to finish on empty and try to get your team as high in the standings as you can.
Maybe we can see 14:50 and see Tyrone Gorzy's record of 14:51 drop this season. But this will be a race where really it'll be a test for North Idaho, and their depth is really what's going to play in factor for them. But again, talked about these 3 Oregon teams. You got Stumptown. You have Forest Park, I believe. Yes, Forest Park, as well as Mount Tabor, the better known as Franklin High School. This is a really, really good field of teams.
So settling into the early pace here with a good solid group at the front of the pack. Again, we'll have timing mats out on the course starting at the 1 kilometer. That'll help us identify all these athletes in the front, but expecting a lot of the favorites to emerge out of this pack as they get things going in earnest here. Jack Meyer, bib 447, somebody that Keenan talked about at the beginning of the broadcast there on the far left of your screen in the white over black, just kind of finding a comfort level with this early racing.
And there's another athlete on the outside in the right in Vincent Recupero, bib 654 from Green Lake Harriers in Seattle, Washington. A really talented athlete, but has struggled this year with just injuries and just trying to figure it out. And when he was, I believe, a freshman, ran 4:07 for a true mile down at the Jesuit Twilight. So the talent is there. It's just those growing pains maybe perhaps are catching up to him.
Looking high above now, and it's a very large group here at the front, as to be expected, though. A lot of traffic here as watch as they make that turn, trying to use the inside as much as they can, but some of those guys finding a little less real estate to work around. Maybe the wiser choice is to stay out in the middle or maybe on the outside. It's very early on in this race, but now this group, I'm struck by the fact, Keenan, that from first to last, there are no gaps right now in this boys' race.
And that's what championship racing is all about. We see our early leader, Zaffer Corcel of Mount Tabor, really part of that group that helped win the Oregon 6A state championship last week, and a team that's trying to get to NXN for the first time. I mean, this is a program that has had success individually, but for whatever reason has had a hard time figuring out the team standing. But if you look at who's in 6th place right now, you probably recognize the last name, Owen Powell, Andy Powell's oldest son. Andy Powell, of course, was just down at West Regionals yesterday and flown back up to go watch his son race today.
There are, I mean, I'm a little older than you, Keenan. It's kind of scary to see some of these folks that, started my announcing career a while back, and some of these guys and gals I was calling their races when they were at elite levels. You mentioned, Dan Lincoln's kid is here. Eric Detman's coaching now. A lot of legendary names. Even our winner, Wisniewski, has a father who was a pretty good racer back in his day as well. You can see now the real-time splits being populated at the top of your screen. Again, the top 5 runners afforded a place in the standings, and then those 5 places are added up for your team score. And right now, North Idaho in a good spot to start, with a lot of racing to go, including the first trip to the beach here momentarily, as they're ahead of Southern Oregon Distance, a team that was afforded a trip to Oregon last year for the title chase at NXN and finished in 4th.
And I was having a brain fart trying to figure out that team, and it was Southern Oregon. They're really contending right now with North Idaho. I mean, you're the defending champions. Even without Tyrone Gorsey, they returned a lot of guys from last year. Tavon Kitchen, Josiah Tossison, Jeffrey Hellman. This is a really good group, but it's been a roller coaster of a year. We saw at Woodbridge, they just didn't run well. But this last week, they actually had a good race at the Oregon State Championship. So perhaps maybe it's the injuries or it's just the confidence thing. I think they're starting to figure things out, but we'll see how this race unfolds.
So timing, Matt, that'll be the mile mark here for the leaders. We'll get another reset of the standings and also the team totals as well. Things still vastly different than what we saw on the girls' side, with so many of these racers still within a few seconds of each other. As I go down the line here and we start to populate that time, you have to go all the way down to 32nd place to have somebody outside of 3 seconds off the lead right now.
And that just tells you that this is a team race. It's not an individual race. That was what the girls was. With this one being so close with all the teams and the athletes just right there with each other, this is a team battle. And like I said, even though Nathan Neal is an outlier in this race, he's still a little bit back. He's in 8th place right now.
You see Kitchen's name at the top of the list on the individual side, the junior from Southern Oregon Distance, which is out of Central Point in the southern part of the state of Oregon. He's the Oregon 5A champion. He was 34th here last year. His team obviously competing at NXN as well, and you can see the Gators starting to blow up some dust there as the final race of the day is kind of deteriorated this course, which was pretty grassy at the beginning of the day, but still trying to traverse this course as best he can. He takes a big look over his shoulder as he attacked that hill pretty aggressively, and right now is advantaged with a slight advantage.
And this is actually Luke Stockett right here from Viper RC, and then right behind him, the kid from Bozeman, Montana, Nathan Neal. No surprises, was very conservative that first mile, and just like Hole in the Wall, is probably going to hammer this. This is an athlete that University of Washington's Andy Powell got a steal out of, and also watching, of course, with his son there, but this is an athlete that a lot of people are seeing for the very first time and just what he's able to bring to the table.
So this is the first of 2 trips up and over that hill, which serves as a winter snow park once the leaves are on the ground and the snow begins to fall here in the region just outside of Boise. But strong running here by Nathan Neal right now out of Bozeman. The senior, undefeated this year and running with some degree of certainty as they get through now what is the 2.3 kilometer mark on the race course, and he now has an advantage of about a second and a half over Luke Stockett. Parker Mong now in 3rd, and then the aforementioned Kitchen has fallen back into 4th position.
I'm really impressed right now with Parker Mong and what he's been able to do. 2A state champion in Washington, comes from a small town in Anacortes, Washington, fisherman town to be exact, on Fidalgo Island. Just really blue-collar type of community. He's tough, and that program has just developed really good individual runners the last couple of years and some good teams. But Nathan Neal, this is his time right now. This is his show right now.
Well, and he PR'd at the state meet, comes back with a lot of confidence, not only on the heels of an undefeated season in 2023, but he was 3rd here last year, went to NXN, finished in the top 25, so brimming with confidence. And look at the stretch that he has put on the rest of the field here, a field that was all together just a few short minutes ago.
And a lot of them are paying the price. 4:40 is not a slow pace by any means. And again, we're starting to see that. For Nathan Neal, though, coming from altitude in Bozeman, this probably is nothing for him. I mean, this is a course that's, yes, it's hilly, and he told me this the other day when I was having a conversation with him. He loves this course, and this is only the 2nd time he's ran on it. So we're now looking at the team standings, too. North Idaho still out front with Southern Oregon right behind them.
A reminder, a team from Idaho has never advanced Nike Cross Nationals in the history of the event, looking to do that. They've been the gracious host for this regional for a while. Why not give them a chance? But you got to earn it on the race course on race day. And right now, they're leading Southern Oregon distance. Keep an eye out for those other places. Mount Tabor, Boise State, I think back in 5th at the 2.3 kilometer mark was Stumptown, which already saw its girls team make its 5th consecutive automatic qualifying bid to Nike Cross National. They'd like to join those girls if they can move up here in the later going of the race. Into the back half of the race now, and that race behind is going to be interesting, but I'm starting to think maybe that unless something happens to Neil here on this second trip around the course, he's looking very strong for the victory.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's running pretty even throughout this race. I mean, this is a guy that's just tempo type of runner, and just really just can be even keel throughout the race. And we're coming up to the 2 mile mark, and it's not even 9:30 yet. I mean, he's going to run another sub-5 effort right here, and almost took a collapse right there just grabbing that. That's how fast he's going right now, Paul.
Yeah, look he went way wide after grabbing that sign, but stays on the race course. Thankfully, a dry day, and conditions here are great for racing, but got to make sure your velocity is not too fast to go off the course in the midst of it. You see the athletic course tracker as they wind their way through these small wooded portions of the course before heading back through, and they'll make one trip to the beach again, one more climb of the hill, and they'll be closing in on the finish of this race. Now 10 minutes in as Nathan Neal continues to lead.
Tyrone Gorzy's course record is definitely on watch right now. 9:31 for that 2 mile. Go 4:50, 4:51. If I'm Tyrone watching this, I'm like, wow, it might actually happen today, and I've only had it for 1 year.
The difference there, 5.7 seconds. But just as we said, earlier on that Neil looked like he was pretty comfortable, that delta is shrinking, I think, with every stride.
Landon Heemeyer out of the Grit cross-country team, a BYU commit. I mean, another runner that we're going to see at the BYU level, along with Daniel Simmons committing there. BYU's just loads year in and year out. And so this is another just talent. He's a local product, too. Just grew up in Boise, Idaho, attends Rocky Mountain High School. This would be huge if he's able to get a win, but also just qualify for Nike Cross Nationals.
So they're coming to the beach now as they've crossed through 2 miles in this Nike Cross Regional Northwest Boys Championship race at 5,000 meters.
We see North Idaho 94 points. They keep building their lead, and Southern Idaho just stays in second. Now we're seeing Stumptown climb up into 3rd place after being in 5th.
Yeah, shades of what we saw Forest Park do in the girls' race, where they slowly and steadily moved up. Again, the top 2 teams will automatically be afforded an opportunity to race in Portland in early December at Nike Cross Nationals. Stumptown in 3rd. You see them on the screen now, 158 points, and closing the gap down to 38. So that race for the team title happening well back of the leadership here on the race course by Nathan Neal. Now at 3.8 kilometers, so a little bit more than a K to go as he traverses the beach for the last time, trying to close in on this championship and continue his undefeated streak in 2023.
And he's doing everything right so far, Paul. He's out front. He was conservative from the start, was not crazy like the rest of the field was. Now he's taking control of this lead. Now he's comfortable. He's been in this position. This is nothing new for him. But Landon Heemeyer, on the other hand, he's really good too, and he's chasing him down right now.
Yeah, second of the Idaho champs, won the district's champ. He was top 10 here a year ago, finishing in 8th, and has just been motivated now. And, this big hill still stands between these guys and the finish line, and that could be both going up and going down, a key point in this race.
Well, there's a reason why they say Montana tough, and this is a kid that's really tough and really talented, runs mountains all the times. This should not be any factor, and he's told me he loves this part of the race. Even the second time around, going up the hill another time is just another day in the life for him.
So you look at the split at 3.8 as Neal crossed those timing mats at 11.5 minutes, 4 seconds back to second, and Heemeyer. And here they come up that final hill climb and then be afforded the not so gentle downslope back in the latter stages of this race, coming up on the last split, which will be 4.5K, and then that hairpin turn as they come back for home. Not as close as we saw with a 2 girl race in the previous championship race we saw just a few minutes ago as he's beginning to build a bit of a lead back on Heemeyer.
And now we're starting to see that speed from soccer. Was a really good soccer player, but also a heck of an 800 runner. Ran 153. That speed is now being shown right here and just increasing that lead by a lot over Landon Heemeyer. But Heemeyer's not giving up. I mean, he's still in there. And when you think he would go around a corner, it's like, oh, he's gone. Nope, he's still right there.
Still more than a half K to go. The next timing mat will be at 4.5 kilometers, 13.5 minutes on the clock. Maybe for the first time a little bit here, Keenan. Neil looking like he's got a little fatigue on the facial features as Heemeyer. It's hard to tell from this vantage point, but at the last spread, in fact, we'll get the time difference here right now, 13:46.8 as they come through 4.5 kilometers. Now 5, almost 6 seconds back is Heemeyer in second.
For Nathan Neal to be this close, I mean, for a lot of people, they would love to have that type of lead, but this is the closest anybody has ran with Nathan. So, yes, is he feeling some pressure? Probably, but at the same time, he's pretty confident in himself as a runner. So, no surprises that he's still running. I mean, he's still running strong. Nothing out of the ordinary for him.
Back behind Heemeyer in third, Jack Henske we talk about for the very first time. Parker Mong still in the top 5. Finish is in 4th position with a half K to go. Tavon Kitchen, then Noah Laughlin Hall, Andrew Ringer, Jack Meyer, and Nate Statlander is currently in 9th. Again, the top 5 individuals not connected to the 2 teams that automatically advance will get an afforded opportunity to go to Nike Cross Nationals as individuals. But now in the closing strides, Nathan Neal keeps the undefeated streak going in 2023. He'll go sub-15 here in Boise as the Nike Cross Regional Northwest champion.
14:49.6. 1 year Tyrone Gorsey had the course record, no more. Nathan Neal is now the king of Eagle Island State Park.
And Landon Heemeyer gutting it out here on the final few strides. He will finish in second. He will get himself to Portland in early December at Nike Cross Nationals. Jack Henske will finish third. Kitchen in 4th. Parker Mong in the top 5. And Jack Meyer of Cherry City. That's an important position in 6th because if Southern Oregon and Kitchen get into Nike Cross Nationals as a team, they'll go down that descending order list to pick the additional individual members.
Jack Meyer, I mean, like I said, finally won that state championship last week. If he's able to get that last position, which he should, because Southern Oregon was in second going into this last K or so, that would be huge for him. But how about Jack Henske and Parker Mong? 2 kids from Washington, 1 from Seattle. You know, obviously a great running culture in Seattle, but Parker Mong from Fidalgo Island, that is super cool. Never been done in school history. That's a huge props for him.
Well, now let's keep an eye on that top side of the screen as North Idaho closing in on trying to become the first team from Idaho to automatically qualify for Nike Cross Nationals. And for the moment, unofficially, they are the winners here. 112 points. Southern Oregon distance in second. Grit cross country for just a fraction of a second was there in third, but you can see the dynamic nature of the real-time scoring here. Stumptown in a bit of a surprise, though, you know, it's still a top 5 performance in this particular region is very good, but only 3 and 4 in the final standings will get an opportunity to be considered as an at-large add to Nike Cross Nationals in December. But for the moment, it's becoming more and more apparent that Idaho will have their first Nike Cross Nationals team in North Idaho.
This is a win for Idaho, not just for North Idaho in general up in the Coeur d'Alene area. This is a win for Post Falls, Boise, Twin Falls, every city in Idaho. I mean, for them to accomplish this on state turf, it's taken this long. This is a special team, 39.4 seconds. That's a legit spread. And this is a team that is hungry to get to Portland in the next couple weeks.
Well, on this boys' side, kind of the headlines will be the continuation of streaks, as North Idaho undefeated so far this season throughout their team racing on the year. Stays undefeated, it would appear, by winning here at the regional. And our individual winner, Nathan Neal, continues to be undefeated. But, oh, what a streak to put on the line in a few weeks when he goes up against the nation's best in Portland for a Nike Cross Nationals title. And Neal, again, very confident, not only having won here after finishing third a year ago, but he goes in knowing that race course in Portland, 25th last year, and a lot of those guys ahead of him that crossed the line last year are not there. So, again, confidence maybe that he can do even better this year, and if not, maybe even win it all.
Perhaps that is the case, but he's also got Daniel Simmons in the way, who is the returning best runner from last year, finishing second overall and arguably the best runner in the class of 2024. Nathan Neal is a top 5 guy on a really good day, and we're seeing that in this type of race like that, running 14:49 and showing that grit. And even then, Paul, you talked about it, he looked like he was struggling that last 500, 600 meters or so, but he's a veteran. Even though this is his second year of running, he managed to get it done. And look at this right here. These 3 boys trying to help each other across the line. That just shows the camaraderie right there with the sport, which makes it so great.
Well, it was impressive how many of these athletes were within just a few seconds of the leaders for a good portion of the race, but then just kind of blown open in the mid stages of the race by Nathan Neal, and he never looked back. Heemeyer seemed to be closing in on him for a period of time, but in the final analysis, it was not going to be enough, and Neal wins by a margin of 15.4 seconds, a new course record, 14:49.6, and he is the Nike Cross Regional Northwest champion. Final athletes getting themselves to the finish line. Hope he's okay. As you know, they say finish on empty, and it's a battle for a lot of these kids. This is, kind of the next week after their state championship meet, maybe feeling like they didn't have much in the tank coming into this week, but all trying to give it one more go if possible. And for several individuals and several teams, it'll be another go in a couple of weeks at Nike Cross Nationals. Let's join Elise Cranny with our new champion.
Nathan, the individual champion, walk us through your race today. You got course record and you won. You must be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm still looking for that, see how our team did in the overall rankings, but yeah, I'm feeling really good.
What was your race plan going into today, and how do you feel about the race in general?
Yeah, so going into the race, I was hoping someone would take it out, and I was going to go through with everyone for the first lap, and then basically when we got over to Poplar Lane over there, I was going to make my move and try to continue to grow it when we got back into the trees, and that's kind of exactly what happened. It went pretty well to plan. Awesome.
And you're seniors, so you're going to NXN to finish off your high school cross-country career.
Yeah.
What are you excited about, and what are your goals for NXN?
Yeah, I just want to end the race feeling good about it. Last year I didn't have the outcome I wanted, really. But yeah, I just want to feel good about how the race goes, and if that means I pull up an upset and get first, that's awesome. And if not, I just want to feel good about how I ran.
That's amazing. And you're headed to UW next year. What are you most excited about as you enter college and join the UW team?
Yeah, honestly, just having a group of guys that all have the same goal in mind, and just having a really great coach to lead me. Yeah, just become a faster runner.
Amazing. Well, congratulations, and we'll see you at NXN in a couple weeks.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Congrats, Nathan.
Thanks.
Well, Andy Powell was there to witness it because his son was racing in the race, and first time since 2016. Washington didn't make the national championship, so they're going to need to kind of retool with the likes of Nathan Neal to get back where they belong as one of the top teams in the country.
Well, that's 2 years in a row now that Andy Powell has got the Northwest Region champion. Tyrone Gorgie last year, now Nathan Neal this year. Obviously, he's doing a great job with the recruiting classes, and they'll figure things out along the road. But, yes, is it hard for the Dogs not to be in Virginia next week? Yes. But the future is bright for the Huskies.
No question about that. So we'll look forward to seeing those folks at the next level in their collegiate career. Still going to see some racing from Nathan Neal in a few weeks' time as he will be towing the line for an NXN championship in early December. But perhaps the biggest story and the biggest excitement or reason to be excited in Boise, Idaho today was the effort by North Idaho Cross Country, as for the first time in NXR history, a team from Idaho is going to go to Portland. And what experience will that be for that group of individuals as they take the win here, holding off Southern Oregon distance? The final score 113 to 118. And, the biggest difference was the number 4 runner, Keenan, 30th place for North Idaho, 35th for Southern Oregon. And that's the 5 points that would have made this a dead-on tie or within a point of each other.
I think they would have been satisfied if they won by 1 point. Regardless, their goal was to get to NXN, and North Idaho did that. And regardless if they have won it or just finished second, for them to accomplish a top 2 finish and move on to Portland in the next couple weeks is a huge deal for them.
So, again, the final score is going to be made official here momentarily. We'll show them to you here as still to be official, but we think comfortably. This will be the final margins across the board. So North Idaho into NXN with 113 points. Southern Oregon going back once again, try to improve on their fourth place finish from a year ago. Mount Tabor finishing in third, Grit finishing in fourth. Those are the two squads that can be eligible now for at-larges. Adelphia and maybe a bit of surprise, Stumptown back in sixth.
I mean, obviously, they lost a ton of athletes from last year's team that finished runner-up. And I'm sure there was pressure for them just going into this race knowing it's like, oh, gosh, we have to get back there. We have to do it or else we failed. Well, that is not necessarily the case. I mean, yes, you finished sixth overall, but this was a deep field of teams. I mean, so I would be proud of the Stumptown team and what they've accomplished this season and just take pride in the fact that there's a lot more left in the tank just for further races down the road, whether it's indoor or outdoor track.
Well, and they fell into the rankings. Coeur d'Alene, which is North Idaho, was the ninth ranked team in the country coming into the final weekend of championship season. Southern Oregon was the next best rated team back in 10th position. And Mount Tabor in that third position was 20th ranked in the country coming in to Nike Cross Regionals. Getting our winning team situated with Elise Cranny down there at the finish line. You can see them in the lower center of picture. Great job by Elise today talking to all the athletes. And what a moment this will be for the entire region of Idaho, all the way up to Coeur d'Alene in the north, as the undefeated squad from up in the north is going to take themselves all the way to Portland and Nike Cross Nationals in 2023, and they are now with Elise Cranny.
I'm here with North Idaho Cross Country, your team champions. How are you guys feeling?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Were you guys expecting to win? What were your...
Probably not.
No, you're shocked.
No way. I'm so shocked. I still don't believe it. This guy blacked out.
Was it worth it?
I did.
100%.
Okay, what are you guys most looking forward to going to NXN in a couple weeks?
We're the first team in Idaho. We've never
First team
won.
ever?
Ever.
You guys are making history.
We're making history.
Okay, how does the CDA Distance YouTube channel, how does that contribute to your success here today?
I mean, yeah, it's just we love each other. It's a great team. We like to just record all our stuff to make it more memorable for us and have other people see it with us.
When's the video from this weekend and you guys being team champs dropping?
Sunday.
Sunday?
Next Sunday.
Sunday. Okay, subscribe, CDA Distance YouTube channel. Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you. Nice day here, boys.
All these kids, content creators. Hey, your whole story was live on runnerspace. What else do you want?
Well, I mean, I myself as a content creator, that's how I got into something like this. So, I mean, that's just the day and age of media now. I know it's a little bit probably maybe confusing for you older gentlemen.
Oh, my goodness.
I went there. Yes, I did.
What are your final thoughts on this race today besides my age?
North Idaho, tremendous day. A day they'll remember for a lifetime, not just for up in the Coeur d'Alene area. Heck, they might go up to Priest Lake and just go jump in the lake. I'm sure it's freezing cold, but who knows? And then on the girls' side, just a really, really close battle on the individual. Emily Wisniewski is the real deal. Logan Hofsty is the real deal.
Yeah, and for me, and by the way, Keenan, great job for a kid who's, I think, still a teenager as far as I'm concerned. Great job, and we'll have him on for some of the other regionals. And I think this, for me, is, kind of sets the stage, garners the excitement that we have for this sport year in and year out, and the excitement that is to come at Nike Cross Regionals. We're just getting started. The Northwest is just the first region. We still have a couple of more regions to come to wind up our weekend, and Keenan will join us for the call of the Heartland Championship races tomorrow. We'll also be at Laverne Gibson for coverage of the Midwest as well.